blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Welcome to On the Campaign Trail with Q. I'm your host, Myra, and this 8-part series gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the journey of Quamekia Shavers, aka Q, candidate for Forsyth County Commissioner at Large. In this first episode, we're jumping right into an issue that affects families across our community, and that's SNAP benefits and being prepared. From inflation to emergencies, many households struggle to make ends meet and access basic food and resources. So we need to figure out what we need to do and what's the difference between surviving and thriving. Today, Q shares her perspective on how Forsyth County can better support families and ensure everyone has what they need to be ready for the unexpected. Q, thank you for joining us. Let's start with the basics. Why did you want to focus on SNAP benefits and being prepared as a part of our conversation for your campaign?
So the first thing I want to say is that, of course, SNAP benefits is a federally funded program. Locally, we can help with additional items like supporting food banks and things of that nature. But I just felt like something happening like this was like a first time happening. And what were we doing as leaders? The issue was not just SNAP. It's just how leaders in our community approach trouble, right? It's all fun and well when we approach, just the everyday duties and responsibilities of our titles. But how do we approach when the community is really in trouble is what prompted me to say something and try to do something to help families with SNAP. And on top of that, I have people who I would never reveal who they are messaging me and telling me, hey, if I don't receive my benefits, I'm not going to be able to feed my family. And because I was on SNAP benefits, I understood exactly what they were saying. If you know that you receive your installment on the 5th of the month, then I'm going to be honest with you. The 4th, you're cleaning up your refrigerator because you barely have anything in there, if you have anything in there. So you're waiting for that next day for the benefits to hit to replenish your home, right? And so I understood, like, what does that mean for community members? And what does that mean for someone who says, by any means necessary, I'm going to feed my children? What is going on in the government? What's happening with the shutdown? Why do I have to pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I decided to approach the commissioners to see what emergency funding do we have in place? What are you guys trying to do to help families in this community? They did a press conference, but it was pretty much call the 211 number, which was something that was set up by the state. I'm asking, what can you do and what are you willing to do as a county? And I also want to say this, I would never ask the county or the city to do anything that is illegal that they can't do with funding. My question is, what about these resources and connections you've made while you've been in this position? Who has food? Who's throwing away a unused, untouched food that has been prepared for the day, but they have to throw it away because it wasn't used? That could feed families, right?
Yeah.
And with the sheriff's department, let's say we have some members who can't get to these restaurants, who don't have transportation or just not physically able. Then how are we going to get that food to them? Then we're going to partner with the sheriff's department. We're going to see, can they deliver some of these meals? There's a way to do this. I'm not always saying, do you have the money? I'm saying, do you have the resources? Have you truly partnered with members of this community to ensure that if you have to pick up their phone and make a call, they're going to be on the other end to answer it?
Now, for the listeners who may not know or say that they don't know what SNAP benefits are and how they support the families in Forsyth County, can you break it down for those who say that they don't know or understand why it's such a big deal that the benefits have been stopped?
The first thing I want to say is it's always funny how the Black community is always the poster for these services when you need to do your research and see who really benefits from these services.
Yes.
That's number one. First of all, it's a diverse demographic that benefits from these resources. But how about this? Majority of the individuals who are on them do work. Now, the job that they work, if you're getting paid $12 an hour, could you imagine trying to pay for lodging for where you live, gas, transportation to get back and forth to this job, and food as high as groceries are?
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way to do it.
And it's called supplemental for a reason, right? It's supplemental nutrition, okay? So they recognize that they're not just plenishing everything that you need for the month. They're helping you because, people need help, and we need to be okay with helping each other. We have this society where people are saying the government shouldn't be helping you. Do you know they would pull taxes out of your check regardless?
Thank you.
It makes me feel better that whatever taxes is coming out is going to help someone, because someone was paying taxes at one point to help me feed my children. And so now that I'm no longer a beneficiary of the program, I get to put back into the pot to help someone else. But see, we too busy trying to say, oh, Black people are the only ones and the majority utilizing these benefits. You better go read. You better go pull them demographics.
That part, because I think if people would actually do their research, they would really, really be surprised at the picture that comes together for them. Now, I know before we was talking about local government and being prepared. What role should local government play in ensuring food security and access to resources?
I think that this issue happening should kickstart some type of task force for not only the county, but also the city, that they are staying in close partnership with food banks and with other eateries around the city and county and say, hey, if something like this ever happens again, I mean, this man is in office for 4 years now. Be very clear of that. And he's actually trying to come up, he's trying to change the rule to where he'd be able to serve a third term. Presidents are only allowed to serve 2 terms. He is trying to make it so that it is law that he can serve another term if he's reelected, right? So I want people to put that into their mind, right? So I think that it needs to be a partnership and an understanding. Our food banks should not be lacking. Even prior to this, our food bank should not be lacking. We should be saying, hey, we have this money right here for community grants. We always want to make sure that we're providing to the food banks. So the food banks are keeping our constituents, from, let's be honest, from going and taking food, right? Yes. Hunger is a beast, right? And like I told someone else who I had done an interview with, I said, if my children were hungry, if you think for 1 second that if the only thing I could do was steal the food, if you think for 1 second I wouldn't steal that food, then just go ahead and end this interview, baby, because I'm gonna feed my kids. Exactly. And so it's not the right thing to do, and I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. I'm just saying that is a bad place to be, and it's an even worse place to be with children.
And I think too that the people that are judging the situation as far as like, well, you should be able to do this, well, you should be able to do that, and all of that negativity behind the benefits, they have to remember that, we're talking about food benefits, but like you said before, we're also talking about $1,200, $1,300 per month rent. We're talking about gas. We're talking about needing a vehicle. I mean, the food is a huge thing, but it's just a small part of the bigger picture. So how can Forsyth County do a better job at helping residents to be ready for any kind of emergencies, whether it's financial, environmental, personal? I just think that this is showing a bigger gap that we need to address, like you said, in many directions.
It is. And to be truthfully honest, that's part of my campaign focus, is education that puts constituents in a better financial situation. Yes. Period. I want to see, listen, sometimes we just need a little bit of encouragement. Sometimes we need someone who looks like us, who has been through some things, and that can stand before us and not be afraid to say, I've had food stamps, I had Section 8, I had this, I had to stand before you and say, listen, you can do this. especially for single mothers. I don't care if you're black, brown, white, purple. I really, really want to empower community members because I want them to have a better way of life regardless. And I think that, so I was telling someone, I was at an event yesterday, and it's amazing that they asked me this question, which is very similar to what you just asked. I want to truly see people in District A live their best lives because it will positively impact the individuals that live in District B.
Yes.
Because then we can really stand before this community and say that we are thriving as one.
Yes.
We can really say that. We can't say that we're thriving as a city. We can say that there are certain parts of the city that are thriving, and then there's other parts of the city that are barely surviving. And so I really want to put those educational pieces in play. I want to utilize that money that we have to allocate in this county to really put it into a situation where community members can grow from it. We do community grants, and a lot of community organizations receive that money. But can we have a real talk here? Some of these organizations are playing.
Yeah.
Some of these organizations are playing their targets that they are saying that they are meeting. I don't 100% see it because I'm out in community. I'm coming to some of your programs. I'm seeing that essentially you are playing. But I'm talking about real growth that can be measured, right?
Yeah.
And taken to the next level to help another. Point blank and period.
And also to Q, the leaders of these community programs maybe being held to a higher standard, because from what I can tell in some situations, I know that there's checks and balances maybe within, the particular program or whatever for you to kind of see where the money is allocated or whatever. But also too, I know especially when it came to housing, that there were certain programs where, especially during COVID, we received all these COVID funds, but then where's the money? So I definitely think that there needs to be a tighter rein in a way as far as responsibility about where the funds are being allocated. And like you said, anybody off the street, any community member, any citizen should be able to go into XYZ and say, let me see the books. Let me see how you are helping the community. Let me see how the finances are flowing so that we can all be on the same page. Because as you stated, it's all connected. Guess what? Clemens, Louisville, all of that is connected to Winston-Salem, Walkertown, Kernersville. Everything is all connected. So what partnerships or community programs do you envision that could help bridge the gap between local government and everyday families?
The first thing that I would love to tackle, and I do know that we have Senior Academy. I'm a volunteer for Senior Academy, and we target at-risk youth who are likely going to drop out or not graduate. I want to see the volunteerism within that organization increased. The experience, this is my third year, the experience I have of seeing my girls walk across that stage who otherwise likely would not have is a big deal. And I also get to play a part in what they do post-grad. Those type of things, we need that strength. We need that strength and volunteerism in the school system, period, because what we do with their education does impact what they will do next. So I want to build a organization, programming around building up our schools, which is why education is first on my list. Not just about the funding. Definitely the funding needs attention and the formula needs to change. But what else are you going to do after you give the money? People have to understand until you invest time, the money may not always send you the residual that you're looking for. You have to put in the time and the work as well. So that's a big thing for me, is really investing back into our schools and putting programming in place for our children. And Foresight Tech has done an amazing job. Don't get me wrong. They have done an amazing job collaborating with this community, but really, really, really putting these kids in a position to say, hey, you don't have to drop out.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if college is not what you want to do, I want you to take a trade.
Exactly.
Which is why I have teamed up with 3 other powerful Black women, and I cannot wait until we drop our graphic because we have something in store for these kids. I am very intentional about getting these kids off the streets, because the streets are collecting our children. So when you say what we can do in effort to not prevent, but to be ready for situations like this, not just with SNAP or just financially, whatever, we have to strengthen our education. That's where everything starts.
Yes.
If you don't strengthen that, whatever you do after that is really hit or it's 50-50 of whether it'll be successful or not. I really want to strengthen volunteerism, activism, funding, and resources within our school system.
And you know,
what build us.
You were talking about education, and also too, you think about it, education and outreach, because it don't matter if we're doing all of this teaching and all of this stuff, educating people, but nobody's out there doing outreach. We have to meet people sometimes where they are. Everybody may not understand everything the same. Some people's languages might be second to English. So we really, really have to come together as one and really, really work on that outreach portion of it too, because it can be all the resources in the world, but if you don't know how to use them, you're going to still find yourself in the same place.
That's right.
How can we empower people, especially single parents and seniors, to feel more stable and supported?
So so I utilize my social media as one of the biggest empowerment tools. Some may look at it and say, oh, she's bragging, but some look at it, for the most part, most people look at it as motivation or empowerment or being inspired, right? And so when people see you doing it, it is totally different from talk game. I'm all about that action, right? So if I say this is what I'm doing, and when people see me doing things and they're like, she's a single mother, not only is she a single mother, but she has a child with special needs, that's inspiring for people. Because sometimes that's all people need to do is see that it is possible, but seeing that it's possible by somebody that they can reach out and touch.
Yeah.
Seeing that it is possible by somebody that they know is a real person and not putting on, right? And so I really think leading by example. I really do think leading by example is the empowerment for people. I've had people reach out to me and say, you know what, the next time around, after I learn what I need to learn, I really want to run for office. I really want to do something great in my community. I have the leadership skills. Now I need to learn the politics side.
Mm-hmm. And again, I have to give you your flowers, because that's the one thing that I always have to go back to where you're concerned is education. You know, it's not just picking a name of a candidate. You know, it's about understanding the platforms, understanding the stuff that they don't say, understanding how it works behind the scenes. And I really, really appreciate you being open and working with me to do this series so that we can educate more people, so that more people not only want to vote, but like you said, say, hey, well, if Q can do it, I can run for office, or I could maybe be mayor one day. You know, it's not something that's so impossible. So I really, really appreciate that from you, because it's something that's needed. And I know myself, me as a Black woman, you know, hearing a white woman talk about something, I can appreciate it and have empathy for whatever it is. But somebody that looks like me, that's telling me a story and how they made it through and what the steps are to follow, I'm going to sit up and pay attention, because again, I'll say, oh, well, they're having the same problem that I might not even spoke about, you know.
That's
Oh,
right.
so these are the resources. So it makes a difference. It really, really does make a difference. Now, what has been while being on the campaign trail, what has been more of the real struggles that you're seeing that people are facing now, other than just SNAP? What are some of the other struggles that they're facing?
Job security, confidence within the work field, right? Just believing that they can do something different. Affordability with housing.
Yes.
If they have a Section 8 voucher, they have struggled to find a place that would accept them. And so some of them have had to turn the voucher back in because they were given so many extensions to the deadline. They were given extensions, but it was just difficult to find a place that accepted the voucher, but then also accepted how much the voucher would pay for that unit. And if your voucher limit is $1,900 and this person wants $2,100 and they're not willing to, take the loss of the $200 and have a guaranteed $1,900 every month, then you just had to turn that voucher back in.
Yeah.
Or my friends who are working multiple jobs because they need that to take care of their family. And now guess what? They're out of the income for their Section 8 voucher. So now they went and they're trying to build a better life for themselves and their children by working multiple jobs. Now their expenditures just increased because Section 8 is barely paying any of their rent.
Yeah.
So affordability to live holistically
Just
and to live with dignity.
Yeah, just the basic necessities. I know when I was a housing case manager, that was one of our biggest pet peeves, because they're like, okay, we got these vouchers, we're opening up the application process. And we're like, okay, but what does that mean? Because there's nowhere for people to go. And it's just so frustrating when you are trying to help somebody do better and they're doing all the right stuff, checking off all the boxes. My clients were some of the best people. Anything that I asked them to do, they did it and exceeded it. And when it came time for them to be able to move or buy a home or, move into a better place, even if it was moving to a different city, that was such a blessing for me to see them aspire to do better things. And I had one client, I remember that every time we talked, she said, Miss Myra, I'm going to get my license. I'm going to be a natural hairstylist. This is what I'm going to do. And I was like, well, I have no doubt you can do it. And today she's doing it and killing it in the game. And every time I see her, I told her, I said, you would think I was your mama. I'm just so proud of you because you did it. You stuck to it. And it's hard to encourage those people when they're fighting against the system, literally. Mm-hmm. So I think that that is so important for us not only to teach money and outreach about the different programs and different things, but also to sustainability. Once you get out there and you start doing that, how do you sustain where you are? How do you pivot? How, just to keep you on your toes. It's so much. Now with housing, we'd be on here all night because that's something that's close to my heart. So we just gonna move on. So as a leader, how do you stay connected to those everyday stories and turn them into action?
By staying in community. I'm never detaching myself from this community. This is the community I grew up in. I grew up in income-based housing, food stamps, Medicaid, you name it. I grew up on that and used many of those services as an adult, even though I've always had a job since the age of 14. I've always worked, right? And so one thing that I received that I also want to integrate within community services is free budgeting courses.
Yes.
That really helped me transition myself from, okay, you're receiving these services. When you start working this job, maybe 30, 45 days, you will no longer be, these services will no longer be accessible to you. Mm-hmm. And so having that transition period, because I can't control what the federal government says your transition period is, right? But what I can do is prepare you for it so that when you transition, it's smoother versus, a cultural shock of, okay, I was paying maybe $200 of my rent and now I have to pay $600. Well, how are we going to do that to where it doesn't negatively impact your home?
Yes.
That's why I keep going back to education and resources, because providing that is going to increase the ability for these young families to transition from utilizing services fully to where they're able to survive and thrive, because I do believe that a lifestyle where you're just surviving is not good for your mental health, and anything that isn't good for your mental health is also not good for your physical health.
Yes.
So definitely wanting to put them in a position to empower themselves, because we can't force anyone to do anything, but to provide consistent education, resources, and opportunities for members of our community to grow is what I really want to do as a commissioner. The other stuff that you do as a commissioner, that's textbook. That's responsibility. That's your have-tos. But how are we talk about the county building the budget, the city building the budget, but how are we growing this community? Right? And people are like, well, don't raise my taxes. Well, that happens, but how are we growing this community? Is
Yes.
what I want to focus on.
Yes, in a positive way. So if you're elected, what would be your first steps to address food insecurity and just being prepared overall in Forsyth County? I know we said education, number one, above everything. And what are some other things you would do?
I really would partner with our local businesses. Now, I do think that we do things it's kind of like, I don't know the word I want to use, but I think it's like touch and go type of things that we do to grow small businesses or to highlight small businesses. But I really want to keep a partnership with them, and that I'm providing whatever resources that I have to help them, so that when we have issues or when we're experiencing true issues of food insecurity, I can call. Let me just one of my favorite restaurants is District 924, right? So my favorite restaurants, the food is amazing. The entire menu is amazing. But as a city and as a county, have we truly supported that business in a way to where we could call them and say, hey, y'all know it's getting cold outside. It's going to be harder for our our unhoused population to find food to eat. What can we do to support District 924 to where District 924 can be in a position to support our unhoused population?
Yeah, to pay it forward.
Yeah, those are the type of things that we need. We need to be creating those partnerships, in our community grant. And, here is a line item where this money is going to go to District 924, because we know when it begins to get unstable temperatures outside, they are going to help feed our unhoused. So they're not out stealing. Because you know what? Hear me out. I went to the Coffee and Cop. Okay. I went with the sheriff's office. I went with the police station. They were at the Starbucks around the corner from my house. And I had an amazing conversation with an officer who I believe I'm about to mispronunciate his name. I think it's Burak. And he talked to me about the unhoused population. And he was telling me that they, unfortunately, because they're trying to survive, commit crimes of theft a great deal. Right? So they're out there focusing on the law enforcement portion, but also trying to provide them resources, right? But think about it. If you're being approached by law enforcement because maybe you did something wrong, maybe you didn't, guess what? You might not hear them as clearly when they're offering you a resource, right?
Exactly.
They don't want to take it. It's just that I'm not trying to hear that because I'm about to go to jail likely, right? Or I'm about to be charged with something.
Yeah.
And so with that being the case, if we better partnered and supported our local businesses, how could they not feel compelled to support community members who are struggling? Let me tell you this. The truth of the matter, the fact is, there will always be drugs. There will always be unhoused population. There will always be a population that we have to help. Get over it. Stop complaining about it. Stop telling people what they need to do, because until you have truly walked in the essence of somebody's shoes, please learn to keep your mouth closed. And when you do open it, if you know the words of prayer, say that instead of the mess that I've been seeing online.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And like I said, housing and the unhoused people are very close to my heart because that's the demographic that I've always worked with. And people would be so surprised if they just took a moment to have a conversation. They would be so surprised how a good majority of those people were once employed in these wonderful, amazing jobs, making all of this money where they should be comfortable. Mental health plays a big role with them being unhoused. It was frustrating for me sometimes because when I was able to present opportunities for some of the unhoused community to be housed, I couldn't understand when they was telling me no. Thank you, Myra. I appreciate it, but no, because that's all they knew. And then on the other hand, you have the people that warmly accepted it, but they wanted to make sure that their friends were comfortable and not having to sleep out on the street. And that in turn caused them to lose their place of comfort. So there's so many different scenarios and so many different stories and reasons why people are unhoused. So I agree with you 100% when you say walk a mile in their shoes first. You know, may the work that I've done speak for me. Before you say something negative about a situation that you don't even know, go out there and sleep on the streets a couple of days and see what it's really, really about. And again, I'm sorry. I just get really, really, that's just really something that's close to my heart, having worked with them and had real conversations. So it's not just, oh, they just don't want to get a job, or oh, this, that, and the other. These people have real issues, real problems, depressions, things, you know, that happen that, thank God, if it happened to us, we had a support system. Everybody don't have a support system. And I think instead of running your mouth about, well, they should be doing this or they should be doing that, offer to see ways you can help. Donate coats, donate blankets, donate your time to serve and to, you know, to sit down and have a conversation. You can go. I remember when I had to go to Salvation Army to visit some of my clients. And when I tell you, some of the best conversations. So make sure that before, like you say, you open your mouth. If you don't know exactly what you're saying, make sure that you can at least say a prayer before you're passing judgment. Now, as we're wrapping up, what message would you like to share directly to the families relying on SNAP or struggling to make ends meet right now?
Just wanted to add one last comment to our unhoused population.
Yes.
I can't remember the country, but there is a country, because I read an article on it about a couple of years ago, which is why the country name escapes me. They have these tents that are temperature controlled for their homeless population. We can do better.
Yeah.
We can do better.
Yeah.
Right? We can't always force them to take the resources that we want them to take. But if where they are is where they are in that time, how can you help them to live with integrity, with dignity, to where they're not putting their health at risk with the difference in the temperature changes?
Yes.
Those are the type of things that I want to be a part of, to be instrumental in this community. Yes. I really want to say, okay, if Bangladesh is doing this for their unhoused population, how can we take the resources to do it for ours?
Yes.
So I'm sorry, but no, last question. I'm so sorry.
I agree 100%. And especially with the innovation quarters and all of these things that we have going on. Come on now, somebody can create something. Thank you. For us to at least meet them where they are. You know what I mean? To at least meet them where they are. So, like I was saying, what message would you like to share directly to families relying on SNAP or struggling to make ends meet right now?
So, I've tried to be very careful with my wording, right? Because I would never want anyone to think that I'm trying to govern their household, right? But I wasn't surprised, but we did receive the news that there was a stay put on the order, right? Meaning, instead of them being able to receive their full benefits, they're going to keep it at only receiving partial. And it broke me down to hear some of the members of our community receive $16 and $14. I'm not even sure how that was even possible, but it happened, right? Because surely you were getting more than $30 or $60 prior to, and you were only given $14 and $16.
Yeah.
And so the stay was put on the order. We really don't know when and if full benefits for the month of November will actually transpire. And I know that the government is still shut down, and we don't know when, that'll happen. The Democrats could technically surrender and not receive any of the things that they're asking for, but then the world is going to be mad because they didn't get anything that is needed, right? Yeah. But then people are ultimately could be suffering right now, even more so in food insecurity, right?
Yeah.
And so my gentle advice to members were, if you did receive a decent amount of your benefits, please be smart with them, because something like this hadn't happened before. Let's be honest. And we don't know when it will be fixed, when it will return back to, guaranteed support for our community members. I'm hoping that the county and the city, since there was a stay put on the order just a few days ago, I'm hoping that the city and the county will really step up and do something different other than telling people to call 211.
Yeah.
The food banks.
Yeah.
Still,
we need a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure that both city and county have fund balances. They have some reserve that you might have to tap into. I'm not saying you have to give that money directly to constituents, but you may say, hey, let's partner with some restaurants. Let's partner with some local businesses. And how can you, as a local business, if we allot you a certain amount of money, how many constituents can you feed a day?
Yeah. Get creative.
That's all I'm saying. We're going to have to with an administration like what we have right there, what we have going on right now.
Absolutely.
Who goes to bed at night comfortable that children may not be able to eat? Who does that?
Yeah.
This administration.
Yeah, with no problem.
Not none.
And I think that's the hardest thing, is that they have absolutely no issue whatsoever. And this is even more reason for us to get out and vote. Learn, figure out, read, ask questions. Like, you got to know that whoever we choose to fill these positions are going to show up in times such as these. Never in a million years would I ever think that we would be in a situation like this. Not so much with the government shutdown. That's not what my concern is, because, it's happened before. But with SNAP benefits, it's some things that we have put in place that you feel like no matter what, the ball is going to keep rolling. And this has taught us that just when you think it couldn't happen, guess what? Here we are. So being prepared is so important. Q, thank you so much. This has been such an important conversation, because being prepared isn't just about emergencies. It's about creating a foundation where every family feels safe, secure, and supported at all times. Before we wrap up, again, let us know how listeners can learn more about your platform and stay involved with your campaign.
Well, I think the primary way, which is what I love doing, is being out in the community and working. I think that's the best way to truly know who I am, is to come to some of the programs that I have, because everything that I do is for any and everybody. It is for the community. You can also find me on social media, Facebook and Instagram, under my legal name, Quamekia Shavers, Quamekia, last name Shavers with an S. And I am active on social media. I post all the events. I try to do so in a timely manner so that people can prepare to participate. I think those are the best ways to reach out to me.
Okay, well, thank you so much for spending time with me. This has been episode 1 of On the Campaign Trail with Q, SNAP Benefits and Being Prepared. Join us next time for episode 2, Transparency, Leading with Truth and Trust, where we'll explore what it means to lead with integrity, openness, and local government. Until next time, stay informed, stay ready, and stay engaged.
Thank you.
Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now. Pay homage to the one that never make promise that he can't keep. Praise to you, hands raised to you, I would never lie, no I lie for safety. Spit aquatic and my logic is a problem for them demons following you can't see. Gentleman, a product of a great G, cause I did my goddess like I'm Shang-Chi. Put a ring, she ain't gotta thank me. Skin brown so they try to hate me. Menace to society, wait T, cause I got a higher vibing Ray key. In the desert with my lions, all you do is lock us up, I provide the gate key. Strong mind, calm in a long line, willpower at the height of 8'3".
3, down 2 when it come down to a clutch verse. I provide a late 3, hammer MCs, you can't touch this. Like a far out away tree, real ones I wanna link up and build with you. Gordon, Kyrie, calling KD, learn from Elijah, Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, and Muhammad Ali. I remember growing up watching Mammy clean kitchen in a Tom and Jerry scene. Move on the low, make you marvel at my shape shifting like an honorary creed. 3 kings that are raised inside the kingdom, guess a kinda made me. Praise to the most high, God is great, my response when you compliment me. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up.
Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now.
Just trying to spread the good word, cause I heard it through the grapevine. Did you know you come from great minds? Did you know your DNA's 9? Did you know that there's a plan to keep your race locked up like Akon? Did you know your people battled on the stage different than the one from K-Shine? We was in the field, weapons in the shield, never hesitant to ref and it was real. Gave to each other, never had to put it in a fine print section of a wheel. Bathed with each other, close up, soap suds up to the chest, it was a thrill. Stayed with each other, kept you stepping in protection, don't put aggression and we peel.
Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're from? You are a superstar, don't let them fool you now.
She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. He the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up. Better give it up, gotta live it up. She the one that gave it to you, better give it up. Better give it up. Show appreciation for you, better live it up.